Hello everyone and welcome to OET with IRS Group. It's been a while, but I'd say the wait was worth it because IRS Group is now a premium preparation provider. That is an official endorsement from OET for our expertise in training, in curriculum development, and coming up with test preparation material. So, in a series of lessons, I'll be explaining to you the nuances of OET. We are starting off with writing. That's one area where a lot of candidates have many concerns and they ask a lot of questions. I'll be taking a couple of questions as well today. So let's get it started. Writing in OET is basically a rather simple task. You are given a patient's case notes, a contextualized set of case notes, based on which you will have to write to either another health professional or a layman like the patient's carer or parent. And most often, these letters would be within the professional context, although sometimes you can have other ones as well. So please remember that there's nothing to be scared about OET writing. It's pretty simple, it's straightforward, it's something that all of you can do perfectly well, right? So I'll start with some common concerns which many students have asked. So a lot of candidates have apprehensions about how you select relevant information and irrelevant information. And this could be a bit tricky, but I would say this is the best thing what you can do about it. Usually or always, you're supposed to start with the task part, which will have a clear instruction on whom you are writing to. So I've got a patient's case notes with me, which I'm giving all of you as a giveaway. You'll have a link down and you will be able to download this with a sample answer. Right, so this task clearly says write a letter to the pharmacist of Sean William, right? So here it's clear whom you're writing to a pharmacist. So what information will this pharmacist require? All of that is relevant. What information does this pharmacist not want to know? All of that will be irrelevant. So that's the best thing which you can do when you are deciding on what is relevant and what is irrelevant. So moving on to the next apprehension, a candidate has asked, can I start my letter with I am writing to? Because I've been told that's not appropriate. There's nothing wrong with starting your letter with I am writing to refer or something of that sort. But having said that, as in the sample here, if you can directly introduce the patient, that would be a bit better. Now, it's not that there is something grammatically wrong with starting your letter with I am writing to refer. It's absolutely fine. But it's just that perhaps I feel it's an overused expression, and sometimes it feels like you don't really have to mention that. So what I have written here is like Mr. William is found to have worsening shortness of breath. So you can directly start introducing the patient, and that is a bit top notch, I would say. Right. But having said that, if you see letters starting with I write to, I'd say that's not so appropriate. It's rather a wrong way to write. So That's one thing which I'd like to tell you. Tintu Suresh has a question. So she asks, can I include these things in the plan paragraph? I'm not sure what the plan paragraph is, so I hope it's the introduction. So these are the sentences she asks. He is to monitored for drug compliance. I guess it is he is to be monitored for drug compliance. She is recommended for dietary modifications. All right, so sorry, I don't think I can tell you whether this is appropriate or inappropriate, because it depends on the context in which you are writing. There's nothing wrong with mentioning it, but it depends on, again, to whom you are writing and whether it seamlessly blends in the context of what you are writing. So it's not just like you can include this in a paragraph, but it depends on the overall content of the paragraph, the structure, and how you present it and what you intend to convey. So one of the reasons for asking such questions is that often candidates have a notion that these are fixed expressions which you have to include in a letter, and often generally it's not advisable to rely on memorized patches of information, particularly in writing or in speaking. That's a big no-no in any of the English tests, particularly for OET as well. So please do not memorize sentences or phrases. OET wants you to write naturally, and that's why you are given a context which reflects real life healthcare workplace settings. All right. Here's a question from Anish Kumar. He asks, please tell how many types of OET letters there are and the differences. Right. Anish, I would say don't try to think about the number of letters or the types of letters. Actually, I would say focus more on what you have to write and to whom you have to write. Yes, I know what you are thinking of, whether you have referral letters and transfer letters and advice letters and all those things, yes. But more than compartmentalizing, I would say think more on what you are writing and to whom you are writing. For instance, in this sample letter, it's to a pharmacist, so you are writing to another healthcare professional. Sometimes you might get to write to a layman, like the patient's mother or carer, for instance. And in those contexts, you would be using a different set of language and expressions. So in linguistics, we often talk of the tone and register, which is the formality of your language and the appropriate vocabulary you use to express that. So that's far more important than trying to think in segments. Sometimes it could be a bit troubling to try to figure out what kind of letter it is. I don't think you really have to do that. Right. So there are a couple of questions as well, which we'll be addressing in the next lesson. And keep posting your comments and questions so that I'll be able to address them in the upcoming lessons. And thank you so much for joining OET with IRS Group, and have a great time and succeed in OET. Thank you very much.